Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is another basketball reaction, and the video we're reacting to today is ranking the NBA Finals MVPs from the 2010s. So I assume it's from 2010 to present day. The video was made in 2019, July, so I guess it's going to have all the current players because the most recent final, or I say the final that's supposed to happen over the coming months isn't going to be played now, or not going to be played for a long time at least. But yeah, and I'm just intrigued. Is a Finals MVP more valuable than just like an MVP, like the most valuable player for the season, or is the Finals most valuable player? I can't say valuable. Most valuable player. Like, what's a more prestigious award? Because I'm not too sure. I've seen like MVPs and final MVPs, and I'm just intrigued to see which ones, like, what award is the better one to win. I guess because I assume final MVPs only go to the person who, or the player that's on the winning team. But I'm not too sure. But that's just something that intrigues me. But this video is from Dom2K. I've done a few of his videos, but I'm interested to see it. And quickly, I just want to say, most of you guys probably know, but I made a Discord yesterday, and there's already nearly 200 people in it, and it's wild. And I've left it in the description. I'm going to start chatting to you guys more, and it will just get this. I've got like some things set up so you can like suggest certain videos, or you can just chat to other people about sports or anything. And I'm going to slowly start adding new things, and hopefully when I start live streaming, that's going to sort of link with my Discord, and there's going to be like certain perks, etc. I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen with it, but that's just something, if you're interested in the Discord, that's in the description. But man, let's get into this and see what this is about. Also, I want to apologise. My green screen is still bugging. So if anything's in the bottom left, I apologise you can't see it. This green screen thing's really, really frustrating me, but hopefully when I get my camera, which should arrive hopefully in the next week or so, it'll be sorted. But let's get into it and see what's about.
About last week where he has played a little bit.
Who's in this actually? Players I'm going to guess. Curry, because Curry's won it, what? He's been in the finals 5 times. He's won it 3 times. Curry's got to be in. Got to won it. Got to have won the final MVP once or twice. LeBron, of course. Maybe I feel like I've seen Kevin Durant mentioned a few times with it. I'm not.
That might be the trigger.
Why not? Why can't I be the MVP of the league? Why can't I be the best player in the league?
The Lakers repeat back-to-back titles. The LA Lakers, the 2010 NBA champions.
What's up, NBA fans? Dom2K on the mic, and today we are doing a video just as simple as the last one. If you did not see the last video where we ranked the MVPs in order for the 2010s, make sure to go hop on there and give your list. And today we are just going to do the same thing, but for Finals MVPs, and this is slightly more of an interesting conversation just because Finals MVPs are based on no more than 7 games.
Okay, so maybe it would be, I guess my question then, surely just the overall MVP for the season is the more prestigious award, because if this is only over 7 games, and it might be less, so like the level, the amount of players that can really get it is probably like as low as what, 15, 20?
Where Danny Green could have won it if the Spurs had won the title. And so with names like that popping up, this list becomes very interesting and also a bit easier to rank. At number 10, I really don't think there should be any discussion here. It's 2015 Iguodala. This would
say, I mean, if the MVP was the Finals MVP, what I'm getting from this is the player who gets it. Like, I've said this already, but like the player that gets awarded, it has to be on the winning side. Say that wasn't a rule, would he still say he deserved it, or like, because I've heard like he was saying about how people thought LeBron should have won it even though he was on the losing side. Do you reckon that's a fair rule, or do you feel like what are your opinions on what could have happened if the rule was just like not based on who wins it?
Made it clear that
he's doing beast
we're looking
against
at a Finals MVP that is very similar.
Oh, so starting from the worst to the best. Okay, I see.
$2, and it is Kawhi Leonard in 2014. This was another MVP that was won with not amazing numbers: 18 points, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 assists, and a block. That's just, there's nothing eye-popping about it, but he played really well. This is before Leonard was a superstar. This is before he was really like a known all-star. This is a 22-year-old Kawhi Leonard. So that's what I always found interesting about his career, is that he's obviously one of the best, if not the best player in the NBA today. Most people would have him around 2nd or 3rd, but he won his first Finals MVP before we even knew he was really going to get there. And 2014 is a similar story, so it's one where they look at LeBron's numbers, and this time they actually have a field goal percentage to back it up. They look at LeBron and say, great numbers, great field goal percentage. It was the rest of the Heat that didn't show up, and what did Kawhi Leonard even do? Well, Coach Nick has a great video on what Kawhi Leonard did. He has a great video about how Kawhi kind of kept LeBron at bay, at least, least until the game.
So what I'm getting from this as well is a lot of these are like, because Iguodala as well. They were talking about how he defended against LeBron, and now Kawhi the same sort of thing, or the same sort of like thing about how he defended well against LeBron as well. This just goes to show how good LeBron is as well. The fact that he's sort of basing their opinions on why someone got the MVP award. I mean, it's crazy to see that, but I mean,
and that's when most of LeBron's numbers came. So with Kawhi Leonard's defensive efforts,
Fair
and
enough.
then his numbers, which again, he had the second highest points per game average on the team that year, or in that NBA Finals, he was awarded Finals MVP. And the 2014 Spurs were just one of those teams that, like I said, in 2013, Danny Green could have had it. So in 2014, when Kawhi Leonard did get it, you always knew that it was a total team effort thing with him. So if a role player came out of nowhere and won it, then it really wasn't as surprising as it was to see Iguodala come over Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and all those other guys and win it. So Kawhi and Iguodala's Finals MVPs are very similar. However, I give Kawhi the edge here because his numbers are a bit better. He shot 61%, and he was less of a role player than Iguodala. So Iguodala didn't even start every game of that Finals. He only started 3 actually, whereas Kawhi Leonard was a solidified starter. He just was not a star yet. So it was a little bit more than him just playing one role really well and winning it. This was Kawhi on the come up, and he won an MVP similar to Iguodala's, but better. Also, there is the fact that, remember, this is the 2014 Heat, so there were still other guys, Ray Allen, Chris Bosh, a declining Dwayne Wade, but my point is that Iguodala was able to really focus in and hone in on LeBron James in 2015 because there was no Kyrie Irving or Kevin Love. So when all your defensive efforts can go into one guy who really doesn't have a lot of other offensive weapons, consistent offensive weapons, it's definitely a bit easier to win a Finals MVP that way, as opposed to where Kawhi Leonard was still dealing with a 2014 Heat team that was still good coming into that series. Nobody thought the Heat were washed up. It's when they got there and got gentlemen swept, we were like, damn, it might be over. At number 8, we're gonna go Kawhi Leonard from 2019.
Oh, so Kawhi 2 times in a row.
There are multiple reasons here.
Look at the change. Wait, I actually want to look at these stats. Look at the change in points per game from this. He's been up like, what, 11 basically? Yeah, basically 11. He's gone up in literally every aspect apart from the bottom 2, which is pretty interesting.
Kawhi Leonard from 2019.
That's a massive change.
There are multiple reasons here. First off, his overall stats were impressive. 29 points a game, 10 rebounds. That's if you're rounding. It was not an official double-double, but if you round, it was a double-double. 4 assists, 2 steals, a block.
Round it
He
up,
shot
obviously.
43% from the field. Now, it's not just the numbers and the field goal percentage there. If you watch the actual series, you saw the story. For a team that was as beat up as Golden State was, it seemed like there were times where Kawhi Leonard wasn't 100% just taking over and dominating the way that you thought he should have. There were stretches where he was just off and the game was closer than it should have been. There were even times in the series where you thought, maybe the Finals MVP might go to one of his teammates.
That was cold.
But in the end, you knew that they wouldn't because by the end of the games, his numbers looked great. And again, against a very beat up Warriors team, the series really should have been over in 5, whereas it was really like one shot away from going 7. The end result numbers look great, but I think given the circumstance, every other Finals MVP on this list was definitely better. At number 7, I am going to go 2018 KD. And the thing about this is, if you were just doing this from a numbers standpoint, like purely numbers, it would probably be closer to the top. 29 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 blocks, 53% from the field and 40% from 3. So he had a
So Golden State as well, so Curry might not even be here. Curry might not be on
However,
there.
I am taking into account like the circumstance, the situations, the teams that they were playing, and the fact that he was a part of the Golden State Warriors playing one of the worst teams that LeBron James ever had. I look at this Finals MVP more like a he did what he was supposed to type thing. When you're playing on a floor with unlimited space against a team that really shouldn't even be in the finals, it's like, cool, amazing series. This is one of the probably, if you put this up against other finals performances just by the numbers, it's probably one of the best ever. But it was also a thing where coming into that series, you already knew the Warriors were gonna win it. That's one thing. The second thing you knew was this Finals MVP is probably gonna go to Kevin Durant. It's more than likely going to be between KD and Steph Curry, but it's probably going to Kevin Durant. You knew that before the series. Just from watching them play throughout the playoffs, throughout the season, knowing how those teams matched up, this was not a difficult call. He played perfect.
But is that a fair way to look at it? Because I see what he's saying. Like he said, I feel like what he's getting at is like the fact that people already thought he was going to get the award before he'd even started. But still, like I don't feel like you should use that to take away from the fact of how good he really played. I mean, I guess that's how certain people look at certain things.
Basketball had a perfect series, but it was on a perfect team. And when we're doing a ranking list and going against other guys' performances, it's difficult to award many points for a player doing exactly what he was supposed to do in a very low stress and easy situation. And that's exactly how I am giving his 2017 performance.
Oh, so he had it 2 times in a row. Oh, so wait. So Curry didn't get it because obviously Golden State Iguodala, then Durant 2 times in a row. Look at those numbers for the 2017 one as well. 35 points. Oh my days. Okay. So Curry didn't get it. Is this one of those things that basketball fans find controversial, or is it fair? Because I mean, I guess this is just for the finals, etc.
Plays. Again, one of the best finals performances ever, and this one is a lot better than 2018. 35 points a game, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, 2 blocks, 56% from the field, 47 from 3. Unbelievable basketball. I give him all the points in the world as a basketball player, just as a straight basketball player. All the points in the world for a performance like this against a 2017 Cavaliers team that had only lost 1 game in the Eastern Conference.
Oh wow!
Given that is a bit skewed in the context of this situation because the East was pitiful. Let's just go ahead and call it what it was.
Bro, he is disgusting in this game. I am listening to what he said about how the East wasn't great, but bro, these clips are wild.
Kevin Love. 2017 Cavs actually might have been the best Cavaliers team on LeBron's return. That being said, I am still taking into account the situation of the Golden State Warriors being an all-star team, them also only having lost 1 game, which was actually to the Cavaliers. As a matter of fact, here's how I can sum up both 2018 and 2017. I think there's a lot of players, there's a lot of superstars in history that you could take them and put them on an amazing team and see them have some of the best finals performances ever. I truly believe that. If you had have taken Tracy McGrady and put him on the 01 Lakers, well, I would have expected him to have some of the best numbers in finals history, because how are they going to pay attention to Shaq, Kobe, and T-Mac? If you had have taken Larry Bird and put him on the Showtime Lakers and had him average 40 points on 50, 40, 90, well, yeah, I expect that. He has Magic, Kareem, and Worthy by his side.
Yeah,
how is anyone going to even have time to pay attention to Bird? So when you take KD and you have him next to Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green for that matter, well, how am I supposed to feel?
Golden State team was disgusting, man.
Games right before he got there. This was the very next year. We knew it was going to turn out that way. That's why everybody was so pissed. So I probably did not need to explain that in great detail, but just in case somebody looks at the numbers and say, how are you going to put KD all the way back here? That is my full explanation, and if you rank it a different way, then hey, we just disagree. At number 5, 2010, Kobe Bryant. This is one of the most controversial finals MVPs of the decade because people, well, a certain group of people think that Pau Gasol should have won it. And what do they look at? They look at Gasol averaging 19 points and 12 rebounds, nearly 3 blocks a game if you round up, shooting 47% from the field, and also not nearly shooting his team out of a game 7. And then, what do they look at on Kobe's side? They look at 40% from the field. That's it. So then, what they don't look at is 29 points and 8 rebounds. They don't look at doing that on a broken finger. They don't look at doing that on a bum knee. They don't look at him setting the tone.
So he was properly injured doing this as well.
They don't look at him leading the Lakers to victory in a crucial Game 3, which was the only game they got in Boston. And by the way, if they don't win a game in Boston, they lose the series. That's a game where he had 29 points, 3 blocks, 2 steals, 4 assists, and 7 rebounds. And Gasol had 13 and 10. Not terrible numbers, but there was a very, very clear and distinct 1A and 1B that game. Kobe was the catalyst and the best player for most games that series, and not only was he injured while doing it, this was against a very tough Boston team. Very tough, very deep, still defensive minded, probably not as good on defense as they were in 08, but they were able to cut it on when they needed to get to the finals. And
they look so disappointed.
Game 7, where Kobe Bryant did not shoot well. As a side note, I'm gonna add that nobody actually shot well in that game. He made up for it with 15 rebounds. Anybody who watched this series knows that Kobe Bryant did whatever needed to be done at the time that it needed to be done. There were no wins where he was just a non-factor. This was on the second year of a back-to-back, so they had played into June the previous year. And when you take everything into account, I think this finals MVP is more impressive than every one that we've covered so far. It's not statistically the best one, that's a different list. At number 4, give me 2012 LeBron James.
Okay.
This was LeBron on his redemption.
Look at these points. So this is when he was at Miami, okay.
I actually close was game 5. Game 1 ended by double digits, but it was close all the way pretty much to the 4th quarter. Every other
he's like putting into like the consideration of how close the games were and like how, because I mean if there's like a finals that's just completely dominated by one team and someone shines in that, obviously it's good, but you can't really grasp how difficult it must have been. If it's in a situation of like it's even, like it's really close and there's someone who's just clutching up I do like how he's putting in this sort of point of view, but I guess people look at it different ways. But I do appreciate this video. That's a very, very good, like, statistical
his
video.
2011 performance in 2012, they are really night and day. So at number 3, I rank his 2013
LeBron again.
performance. And here's the thing. His 2012 performance was statistically better.
Oh,
it
man.
was pretty much a lot better. In 2013, he averaged 25 and 11, 7 assists, 2 steals, so again flirting with a triple-double. But this time, he only shot 44% from the field. But I have to rank this one over the Thunder series because the San Antonio Spurs of 2013, that is an all-time team even though they did not win. Like,
Spurs
the difference
are mental,
between
bro.
them being talked about with the 2014 Spurs and not being talked about as we do now is just the fact that they kind of choked in Game 6. If they don't do that, we look at them and say, man, they came and got this Heat team where Dwayne Wade had not diminished yet, not fully diminished, the one that had a 27-game win streak, that got LeBron in his best MVP season, no, his best season ever. We went through that in his MVP year, and they went and almost took them out in Game 6 on their home floor. So that's the only reason we don't discuss the 2013 Spurs up there. It's just the difference between winning and losing. So there's the strength of the opponent that I'm taking into account there, but I'm also looking at the big moments. The Miami Heat lost Game 6, okay? It was over. It was lost. They were down double digits. San Antonio had all the momentum, and LeBron James has that monster performance in Game 6 down the stretch to bring them back. They probably go away silently without that. Then in Game 7, he finishes it off. He tallies an efficient 37 points and 12 rebounds like it's nothing, and hits the dagger. So as you saw in my breakdown, against the Thunder, that was a good team, but he pretty much got whatever he wanted against that defense. The Spurs made life much tougher, much better team, and he was on the ropes as well. And when you watch a guy perform his best on the ropes like he was at the end of Game 6 and like they were on Game 7, that's where I can say that weighs a bit more than just having perfect statistics like he had in 2012. So that's why I actually have Dirk Nowitzki at number 2 instead of having LeBron.
Wait, they say Nowitzki. I want to get his name right. I've heard his name before.
That's why I actually have Dirk Nowitzki at number 2 instead of having...
Okay, so this guy I'm not too familiar with. I wasn't very familiar with Iguodala either, but this guy, I've heard of his name, but I don't know if I've seen him in videos or if I've just not done any... I don't think I've done any videos focused on him anyway, but this is something that I'm interested in. He's placed in second, so let's see why. Oh, skip forward. Looking at those stats, you see that you're looking at the stats, and that KD one does stand out, but I guess he's put it into like context, etc.
LeBron at number 2. Dirk only shot.
Sorry, I always say that
42%
word,
in
etc.
2011,
I don't know
but you have
why.
to understand that Mavericks team came into that series on the ropes. Here's this Mavericks team with one superstar in Dirk Nowitzki, and they're a good overall team, don't get me wrong. But you have to remember, in 2011, we're looking at duos, we're looking at Kobe and Gasol, we're looking at big threes like the
Was he
Celtics
against
and the Heat.
James?
We're not just looking at Dirk Nowitzki and a bunch of other good role players. That is not what caught anyone's eye. And then in Game 2, they were really on the ropes. That famous comeback, you already know all about it. When they're down double digits and the Heat are celebrating, the series looks exactly how everybody envisioned
Wow.
it. They
And they
lose
come
that
back, yeah.
game, they probably lose the series. But Dirk really led a team against 3 superstars. It wasn't just like with Kobe where everyone is a little bit older now. The Celtics were a really good and deep team, but the big 3 were a bit older. Talking about prime Chris Bosh, the best Dwayne Wade as, you know, as a part of the Miami Heat trio, that's the best Dwayne Wade there was. And then LeBron James. Dirk Nowitzki put up 26 points, 10 rebounds, and he just had moment after moment. The Game 2 layup to seal the deal, a rainbow 3 in Game 5, I believe. The Game 6 dagger where you could already
He had his
tell the game
moments
was
and
pretty much
jeez.
out of reach, but it was
Look how
more like
high
an
that was.
exclamation mark where he hit that shot on Chris Bosh. In Game 4, Dirk was actually sick. That was a game where they were on the verge of going down 3-1, and Nowitzki ends up with 21 points and 11 rebounds. And you look right on the other side, like, that's a game where LeBron James had 8 points. So in a moment where it was all about the superstars of teams showing up, Dirk was the victor. And I'm just never going to let anybody forget. You know, people try to rewrite history. There's new narratives going around. Every year I see the 2011 Mavericks get better in history. And soon enough, it'll be to the point where, oh, well, the Heat actually weren't expected to win that finals. Never let anybody tell you that. Never let anybody diminish that title. You know, it's one thing to say that Dirk won it by himself. That's obviously false. He didn't. He had a good team. But he did not have a big 3. He did not have superstars by his side. And to come up and be the catalyst to perform against a team that had claimed they were going to win like multiple championships and that it was going to be easy, you kind of had to live through it to understand why that title was so important. But more than importance, it is one of the best finals MVPs of the decade.
I like this one. So LeBron's the first one, and it's the one I expected, of course, the comeback basically. But I like how he put this one in because this is like an underdog story. And again, context is always needed when you see them things, because most of these are all like teams that are expected to win. And again, you can't like take away from them because you can't help being on a great team. I mean, you can help in certain ways, but like the player can't decide which team they're on. And again, looking at the numbers, you see the KD one, but this LeBron one is not to be argued with, man. The way he clutched up in this is disgusting.
And the only reason it's not the best is because LeBron James went
Look at his
absolutely
numbers as
berserk
well.
in a series against a 73-9 team. Oh yeah, with the 3-1 comeback. Only reason. Yeah, let's just go ahead and call a spade a spade. If your 2010's NBA Finals MVP list does not have LeBron James at number 1, it's wrong. 30 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists, nearly 3 steals, and 2 blocks a game.
Wow.
Shooting at 49% and 37% at 3. This is going against what everybody would have started calling the best team of all time had they have won that series. Let's also call a spade on that. If the 73-9 Warriors win the 2016 championship, they have now replaced the Bulls as the greatest team of all time.
Wow.
Especially with the way people forget history and all that, there is no way they would not be sitting on that mantle. That's the only thing they were missing was one game. Now, were there injuries and were there suspensions? Yes. But were the Cavaliers fully against the ropes? Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
They were down 3-1.
Greatest comeback in
and Golden
basketball,
State
right?
was the team with 2 home games left. So they had to go and win game 5, where everybody kind of expected a gentleman's sweep at that point. Then they had to go and win a game 7. So regardless of the injuries and the suspensions and all that, which are
can't get over his blocks, man.
I maintain that the Warriors win that series in 5 if none
That
of
was
that
cold
happens.
from
Still,
Love.
100% on the ropes. Game 7 was one of the most intense and nerve-wracking affairs I've ever sat through. And in game 7, what does LeBron do? Triple-double. Triple-double and the block, which is a moment that is never going to die in sports history. Just in case you've forgotten, that block came at a time where it had been a couple of minutes since the team scored. So you could
they
really
needed
just
that,
hear
yeah.
the tension. And the general idea was the next team to score is probably going to go on to win because there was just a lid on the basket. Nobody could get anything. So the Warriors finally have a fast break layup, and LeBron comes out of nowhere. I will be telling this story to my kids, my grandkids. All I saw was Iguodala.
Legendary
All I saw
sports
was a
moments like
layup.
that, man.
And then
You
I just
can't
saw
ever
all
forget
black,
them.
referring to the Cavaliers uniforms, obviously. All black and LeBron James all over the ball. Never seen anything like it. Don't know if I'm going to see anything like it again. And I have
Just
not
look how
even
far he
mentioned the
comes
Game
from,
5
man. It's
performance yet.
wild.
Game 5, they were on the ropes. 41 points, 3 blocks, 3 steals, 7 assists, 16 rebounds, 50% from the 3-point line, 53% from the field. I don't give a shit if Bogut was hurt and Green was out. Do you know how demoralizing it probably feels to be down 3-1 when you know that 2 of the next 3 games, if they were to even happen, would be away games against this team that was still loaded? Even with Curry slipping and his knee not being as great, all that, they were still on the ropes, and they could have chosen to die anytime. That was a mountain that they were looking at, and they climbed it, led by LeBron James. Hey man, there's nothing left to say. Would the Warriors have won that series if you didn't
that
have
was
all the extra stuff
brutal.
going on?
That
Yes.
last one.
Was that one of the most incredible comebacks in sports history? Yes. Did LeBron James lead both teams in basically every statistical category
That
throughout said
pass.
series? Yes. Alright then, in the video. Let me know what your list is in the comment section, and if you agree or disagree with any of the placements in mine, and let me know what other 2010s lists you would like to see. Hit the like button, comment, and sub if you enjoyed, and hit the bell next to my name if you want notifications when the next
This was
list
a
drops.
very, very
Thanks for
interesting
watching,
video, man.
and I'll see you all on the next one.
Has he got any more? I searched, because I searched the, because what someone suggested was literally I searched the title, and other ones popped up. If you'd like me to see them, I think there's one from the 2000s and even older. I'm not too sure, but if you want me to see them, actually, no, you can see the suggested ranking NBA MVPs from the 2010s, which is this. Oh, MVPs, not final MVPs. Okay, so that's the difference. That's the pair from the whole season. But yo, this is a very intriguing video, and it's actually not got many dislikes. Like, the like ratio is high, so I assume it's not like people don't necessarily disagree with it. Imagine being such a dominant player, other players get final MVPs just regarding a win. That's what I was thinking of LeBron, right? Like, I saw that quite a few times in this video. Like, for guarding him, you get the MVP, and obviously you do other things as well, but it just goes to show how insane LeBron really is. So I still can't believe that Curry made 5 straight final appearances and no final MVP. I know, that is wild. I thought he would have at least 1 or 2. I was very shocked when I see he didn't have any. Don't forget the fact that Patrick McCaw's three-peated on 2 different teams and didn't win the final. Oh, wow. On 2 different teams. Jesus. This is a very good video, though. I really appreciate the suggestions like this, because it's a very long video, but, man, it just teaches me about certain things that I would never see before. And I say this all the time, but videos like this are very like unique in terms of like you won't find them in highlight videos. You won't see them in like story videos, but they're like very good for like teaching about information to do with the sport. And again, there's more like this. Please just suggest, because I do enjoy these sorts of videos to react to. But yo, if you guys enjoyed, don't forget to like, subscribe, and